As travel and communication get easier, more Americans are opting to save money and move to parts of the world where they can live in luxury for just a fraction of the price that they can in the States. In many cases, people may find jobs that can be done remotely and can continue making a U.S. wage while living abroad. Mexico did used to be the go-to country for Americans looking to retire in style, but these days, resorts in Mexico cost the same as in the U.S. But what about Europe? While countries like the UK, France, and even the Scandinavian nations can be expensive to live in, here are a couple of countries in Europe that you can live in comfortably and for cheap. So today, we're going to examine 12 of the cheapest countries to move to in Europe. Number 12, Lithuania. Lithuania is probably the cheapest and most Western-friendly nation to move into the Baltic region of Europe. They speak great English and have reliable transportation. The only problem is that the establishing residence can be difficult. Dining prices resemble that of a small town in America, with about $3 for a beer and $12 for a 3-course meal. An apartment in downtown Vilnius will end up costing you about $500. Number 11, Poland. While the Polish people have low wages compared to some other wealthy EU nations, Poland is incredibly safe and has a ton of amenities. Polish schools also teach English, so you can try to get by while you learn to speak the native language. Historic cities like Warsaw and Krakow have a great university system and an appreciation for the arts. And as for an EU member, you will have no problem traveling to other EU countries. An apartment in downtown Krakow may cost you as little as $400 a month, and dining is incredibly affordable. Poland is also a beautiful nation in general, and outside of the cities, there are castles, ski resorts, mountains, and lakes for you to explore and enjoy. Number 10, Slovakia. Just south of Poland and east of Austria lies Slovakia. A former bloc state, it has quickly become westernized over the past couple of decades, but the cost of living is still incredibly low. A decent apartment in Bratislava will run you about $400 a month. Though more expensive than a neighboring Ukraine and Bulgaria, the amenities are much nicer, and they have great healthcare and education systems. You can also eat at some of the nicest restaurants in the city and expect to pay less than $10 on a meal with a glass of wine. Number 9, Bulgaria. Simply put, the US dollar goes far in Bulgaria. Bulgaria is beautiful and is a great tourist destination. They boast amazing beaches along the Black Sea, as well as beautiful mountains great for skiing in the winter. Bulgaria is also an EU member, but not in the Shechkin area, so they don't house migrants and refugees from Africa and the Middle East. However, Bulgaria is the poorest nation in the EU. Public transport, healthcare, and even education standards are way low by Western standards, and English is not that widely spoken by the locals. They're still a developing nation and have a long way to go. Apartments right in the city may cost you as low as $400 a month, but if you're okay being in the countryside, you can find rental homes for even cheaper. Bulgaria also has the lowest price for rent, utilities, and food out of any other nations in the EU. Number 8, Montenegro. North of Albania, Montenegro boasts an incredible coastline and amazing national parks. It's a super popular tourist destination during the summers and is affordable enough even to attract tourists from other Eastern European nations. It also has recovered from the Yugoslavian dissolution better than its neighbors and uses the euro despite not being in the EU. You can find extended stay apartments away from the shores for less than $350 a month, but the price rise on the coast during the tourist season. Healthcare is cheap, and public transportation and fine dining are also both seals. Number 7, Bosnia and Herzegovina. Another former Yugoslav state, Bosnia and Herzegovina has also recovered much better than neighboring Serbia and has a slightly better quality of life. You may find it difficult to get by if you can't speak Bosnian, as English is not common amongst locals. It's a great destination for extended stays, however, with great mountains and medieval architecture. A luxury apartment will cost you $350 a month in the capital, Sarajevo, and as little as $200 a month in coastal towns. By the way, their amazing food is incredibly cheap. Number 6, Georgia. North of Turkey and south of Russia, Georgia lies on the east coast of the Black Sea. It's incredibly cheap, requires no visa, and flights are very cheap to and from anywhere in Europe. Taxes are low, and with a low bar to entry, a beautiful capital in Tizbil, and gorgeous mountains, Georgia is a wonderful place to move to. You can get an upscale apartment in downtown Tizbil for about $300 a month, and food and amenities are incredibly cheap. Number 5, Turkey. Turkey is one of the most historic nations in the world and is absolutely gorgeous. However, Turkey is not in the EU. It has a high standard of living, especially in the western regions. With coastlines on the Black Sea and Mediterranean, there is a lot to offer. Turkey even has low real estate costs, and many Westerners even buy property there. Plus, it's very easy to gain residency. Turkey's a large nation, so costs will depend on the area, but inland, you can find nice housing for as little as $250 a month. Food and entertainment are also very cheap, though they do become more expensive in downtown Istanbul. Number 4, Romania. Bucharest, Romania is one of the most beautiful places in Eastern Europe, and if you're into history, you'll absolutely adore the Transylvania area. Romania as a whole is a very beautiful nation full of diverse landscapes. They have very friendly residency laws, and though an EU member, they don't use the euro, which brings down taxes. Air travel in Romania is not very good, though they do have a reliable train system. Additionally, Romania is the most corrupt nation in the EU, and some locals have even been caught trying to take advantage of foreigners. Romania has cheap house rentals and very cheap car rentals. You can rent a car for about $200 a month and drive all over the country. Also, they have high-speed and low-cost internet even in remote areas. Number 3, Albania. South of Serbia and north of Greece on the Adriatic Sea, Albania is one of the cheapest countries to live in all of Europe. Full of Greek, Roman, and Ottoman ruins, it is a history buff's dream, and it also has beautiful sandy beaches along with breathtaking mountains. They have some of the most super-friendly residency laws. Americans can stay for up to a year without a visa, and an exchange rate that is very generous to the US dollar. One word of caution, Albania is a Muslim-majority country, so if you have a problem with that, this isn't going to work out. You can find apartments for about $200 a month away from the coast. During the summer, there are tons of tourists which do go to the coast, so prices are going to be higher at that time. Car rentals are as low as $100 a month, and groceries and dining are very affordable. Number 2, Serbia. A former Yugoslavian state, Serbia is a landlocked country south of Romania and west of Bulgaria. It's one of the cheapest nations in the Balkans to live. However, it was the worst living standards out of any of the former Yugoslav states. Plus, its economic recovery since freeing itself from the communist rule has been slow at best. Education, healthcare, and public transport are very poor in a lot of areas, and public safety is sometimes an issue for foreigners. Serbia is still a beautiful nation with a rich history, however, and if you have money saved up already, or if you're earning a Western salary, you can live there just fine. An average apartment in Novi Sad can cost as little as $190 a month, and dining and transportation are dirt cheap. Lastly, number 1, Ukraine. Ukraine is hands down the cheapest European nation to live in. A massive nation which is bordering Russia to the east, Black Sea to the south, and the Ukraine has something for everyone. Despite some skirmishes with Russia in recent years, it's still a very safe country. Ukraine is beautiful and has great mountains, coastlines, and other attractions, as well as a rich history. It's one of the safest countries for Americans in all of Eastern Europe. The capital of Kyiv is more expensive than the rest of the nation to live in, though it's still cheap by Western standards. You can find an apartment in major cities for as low as $400 a month, and in smaller cities, you can get one for as little as $200. Dining and entertainment venues are super affordable, as well as groceries and utilities being super cheap.